Welcome, welcome. All right. So this morning I made a video about um, my last 45 days on the road. And today, or right now, I'm going to make a short video of why I think trucking companies fail. And my wife is talking to me right now on the side. What?
You're gonna sit
No, I'm live on the air, baby. And all right, so I'm gonna make a short video based on something that I saw Piglet from YouTube. I corresponded with him a few times via email. He's a fun person to talk to, fun person to watch. I like his videos, and hopefully we can talk more in the future. But here's 80% of new trucking companies fail. I believe it's within 6 months or a year. And here are some of the reasons why. Definitely check out Piglet's YouTube video on this topic. I answered him in the comment section, and I went back and forth with him a few times because he asked for comments, and thinking about it, I was like, man, what would be interesting to do is a lot of the stuff that you're going to see on trucking and in business. Sometimes you see a lot of issues that people talk about, and it ends up being people talking down to you. And what I realized with this list is these are things that I realized that I had done well, and in some cases I had not done very well at all. And so these are lessons learned as well. So I mean this video to be educational. At the same time, some of it is going to have sort of a harsh tone to it, both for myself, and if it applies to you, then good. You can use it. The first thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's something that came up pretty early. I used to self-dispatch. So I was used to, and it goes back to the reason why I'm doing this in the first place. I used to self-dispatch. And to make a long story short, it's very hard to do that. I do have a person that I consider a mentor, Jonathan Butler. Check him out. Hotshot Haven, Noble Enterprises, Inc. That dude doesn't need to sleep. And I need to sleep. Some people have the kind of makeup, the kind of physical makeup and mental makeup that they can self-dispatch. I am not. I'm not that person. So when I got a dispatcher, one of the first things that I noticed is, man, you better have good communication skills. Not only communication skills, but it's more about relationship building. And the reason why is because I know how a dispatcher makes money. A dispatcher makes money by basically once you pick up the load, then 10% or 5%, depends on whatever your arrangement is, that percentage of the bill is owed by the trucker to the dispatcher. So I would then pay 10% of whatever it is that I picked up. And I'll give you a perfect example from I can show you some of this because I blacked out the brokers. So the first time I worked with a dispatcher was on 19 March. Before that, I was doing self-dispatching. So it was 4,500. It was a 4,500 pound pipe, and I picked it up in Victoria, and I delivered it in Houston. I owed $42.50 to my dispatcher. In the contract, it says that you pay that immediately. But it's also more about, I realized what I was going to say. What I was not real happy with at first, and I had to go out there on faith, was that Victoria is about, I want to say, it's almost 2 hours from my house. So, Victoria, Texas. So, I did not want to start off, I did not want to start off with a load where I didn't know where the end was going to be. So, it's strictly on faith. So, you need relationship skills, you need trust, you need humility, you need patience. When you start this business, and that's not something that most people are prepared for. I had to trust. I basically had to trust him that things were going to turn out all right. And I'll show you something else with that run. So let's just go to the money. So 19 March through 28 March, my gross sales were 3,000. So my first run with him, I made a video about this. My first run, I profited 6%, netted $190. So that's the difference between the expenses and the gross sales. But the difference was, what am I looking for here? The difference was, so it's a total of 10 working days and 10 total days and 8 working days. And I made almost $1,000 in salary, but 6% profit. So things turned out all right. So it gets back to what I said. So when I left the house, I had no idea what was going to happen. It was just, hey, go deadhead 2 hours down to Victoria, away from my house, away from what I know. You gotta have yourself put together inside your head. I had some trouble on that run with my equipment. So my communication skills. So during that run, I had an issue with a right blinker being out, and it was basically the fuse was burnt out. But to get to the bottom of that, I had to spend money. It took time. It's on my first run with this dispatcher. He's trying to figure out, why can't this guy complete his run? So I was in between Victoria and Houston. He wants to know why I'm not able to. He wants to know why I'm not able to make that delivery. I ended up making a delivery just in time in Houston. Houston is crazy, crazy busy. So I had to fight traffic and this and that. So it was a lot. It was a lot. And on that very same day, I ended up picking up in Houston 6,000 pounds. I ended up waiting around for the load, not from dispatch, but from the, you need a lot of communication skills between the shipper, between the receiver. This is actually the same company. They want to know where the load is at. And it was crazy. It was totally crazy. Meanwhile, dispatch is arranging a pickup up in Mansfield. The next day, I ran out of hours. I ended up running out of hours. It was a mess. It wasn't a complete mess, but it was a lot. So the lesson I learned early with the new dispatcher, Direct Carrier Services Group, you need some emotional skills. You better, if you don't come with that, you're bound to fail, man. You're in a lot of trouble. And keep in mind, understand how people make money. I'll discuss that a little bit later, but basically, I want my dispatcher to make a lot of money because when they make money, I make money. So, you'll hear some people talking about 5% versus 10%. You're getting ripped off. The bottom line is my dispatcher has twice the incentive to get me a higher paying load than a person who's only making 5%. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. And I got the numbers to prove it. So the second thing that you're going to need in trucking, and a reason why, this is it's cash flow. You're going to need operating expenses in the very beginning. And again, I'll kind of just go right back down here when I first started. So, I'm not sure. Let's see, how many miles did I run? This is interesting because I ran 2,000 miles. And I already know that 20% of my cost off of my gross sales, 20% of my gross sales, total gross sales, 20% is going to be my fuel. So I know that now, all of my gross, I know that now because this is the percentage that I've spent on fuel for 16,000 miles. So, and that's all miles. That's all miles, not just loaded miles. So, your operating expenses in the very beginning, income. You're going to need to dig into your savings. You're going to need to dig into, if your spouse has a job. I have other, several forms of passive income. So that helps a lot. In the very beginning, you're going to need to operate. And in order to run all these loads, in the very beginning, 19 March through 27 March, that was straight cash. That was my cash. I was not getting paid. So that's key. You don't have operating expenses, income, things, to operate before you start getting checks in the mail, you're going to be in trouble. Let's see. Let's talk about planning. Most people put the plan first, and that makes sense because I planned everything from the beginning. I knew that I would have passive income. I knew that I had significant savings I could draw on. So, that obviously matters. And some people, I'm being told that some people come out here and they're just ready to just drive a truck. I did want a truck, just a truck in the very beginning, but it turned into a business. And when it does turn into a business, you got to know the reason why you're going to do this. And if it's just money, that's probably not a good reason. And I would just say that, based on my experience, you would just want to become a company driver. Why would you incur expenses like this? Look at these runs that I made, 19th through the 28th, 1st through the 13th of April, 22nd through the 30th of April, and the 9th through the 24th. This is 45 days. Why in the world would you want to incur expenses like this in order to make money? So in your planning, it doesn't make any sense. You got to know the reason why you're doing this in your plan, in your original plan. Why would you want to go through this type of this type of trial and error and stress in order to make money? You could simply make money without incurring any expenses by just being a company driver. Okay? Sweat equity. I have sweated. It's funny because it keeps going back to the numbers, because I remember these loads, you know, I remember each one. These were nice days. So these days right here, the springtime, that was nice. That was sweet. It was like I didn't need AC. I didn't need heat. You know, April. It's pretty nice. Way up there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I got one in Nebraska. Those are real nice, man. Real nice days. Starting to get a little bit warmer here. You know, I'm in the South and the Midwest. Well, these were nice because I went up north on purpose. That was nice. But I tell you what, man. Sweat equity. All of these from here to the 24th of June, all of these were like pretty much scorching hot. I was sweating a lot. And if your equipment doesn't support that, I have an air conditioner, I have a generator, I'm willing to put the work in. If you ain't willing to do that, bro, you ain't gonna make it. You just ain't gonna make it. And that is not a knock on, it's not a knock on like people that just don't want to do that. It's just not for you. You know, I've said before, you know, leave the money to me. I'll do it. I'm willing to sweat. I'm willing to put the work in. If you're not willing to do it, just stay home. Stay home. Leave this money to me, and I'll take care of it. Because otherwise, you're ruining the rest of our rates. Get out here thinking that you're gonna be riding around in an air-conditioned truck, not no flatbed, dude. You know how many times I've jumped up and down off of the bed of this truck, the bed of my flatbed. Let me see, the one in. This is where I fell, up in Iowa. Where's the Iowa one? This one was a short run. Carroll, Iowa to Wichita, Kansas. So I'm tarping this load, pays good. It's like $3 something a mile, I think. It's close to $3 a mile. It's a good paying load. So I'm tarping this load out of this factory. And man, I took a spill. I had 3 points of contact, and then like I tried to I think I just tried to step over a strap or something. Before I knew it, I was falling. I was falling off of my trailer, which is about 3 feet off the ground. And 3 feet doesn't sound like much, but I'm 5'9", so it's a good distance. And what I managed to do was to kind of kick my foot out, and then somehow like I grabbed a strap or something and spun myself around so that all of my momentum was kind of moving to the side. And what ended up happening is I just scraped my knee and like scraped my hand a little bit along the ground instead of my head getting busted open. So when I say sweat equity and toughness and resilience, I mean it. If you're not willing to put in that type of work, and I'm talking to truckers, in another business, it's just kind of a different thing. But in trucking, especially flatbed, if you're not willing to sweat, just, stay home, man. It's not for you, man or woman. Basic math skills. So in this is just basic math. It's not anything complex. It's really addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And I'll give you a little bit of a taste of how this page is put together. And this is really just kind of off the top of my brain, the way I made this. So gross sales, expenses. Let's just do expenses. Let's click on that. That expenses cell is programmed into the Excel sheet all those different cells, which are way over here. They're way to the right. So it just adds those up, and the same thing here, same thing here, same thing here, and then this one obviously is going to take that. It's going to take expenses minus gross sales. See the cell represented up there? And that would be all the way down. And then how I add everything together. Okay. How I add everything together is, so all my gross, real simple. This is some computer programming too. A3 software program. A3 plus A6 plus A9 plus A12, or coding, that's what it would be called. And expenses, I did the same thing with all those other cells that I just highlighted. And I did the whole thing across. There's absolutely no need to spend, a crazy amount of money on QuickBooks, just the way that I'm set up. All right, and then I'm real proud of this sheet. Let me just show you something real quick. So with all miles, that's loaded miles that I just clicked on. And then I just went AB3 equals AB3 minus AD3. All right. And again, this is all educational. Same thing with gross, the same thing with gross per day. So that one is X3 divided by AG4. So X3 is right here. AG4 is next to it. Right there. 60 days. See that? So math skills, when I talk about math skills, this is really just some simple math, applying questions that I have in my head, like what's important in my business. The gross per day is important because if there's a job that I want to price, then I know about my cost per day, and I know what would be a good target for a price. Okay, so that's sort of basic math skills. I know what fuel costs me. I know what I cost me. My big advantage basically is that I have time. I don't worry too much about time because I have other forms of income. Other people can't do that. They're not set up that way. But okay, so, and then the other thing would be billing. I had no idea. So again, this is educational. I had no idea how to bill in the beginning. And I want a quick shout out to Just Mario, because he showed me some things in the very beginning with the bill of lading, and Dispatch Garage is another person I wanted to thank. They did not show me how to do this stuff. What they did was they gave me some clues, some really important clues about what's included in how to bill a company. I had no idea how to bill a company. Well, the first clue is that companies bill you every day. It's called an invoice. It's called a receipt. A receipt is an invoice, and an invoice is a legal document. So once you invoice someone for a service, then they have to either refuse to pay you, either saying that, hey, you didn't provide that service for us, or that's not what we agreed to, which is in the rate confirmation, which is at the very, very beginning of the process. When you negotiate in the spot market, that's how you would determine what you're going to be paid in the end. So what you would send to a company would be a rate con. You would send a rate con to them, a bill of lading, and an invoice for your services. And that invoice would reference the load number on that rate confirmation. And then typically, I hope I'm breaking some codes for you, man. Typically. Oh my God. I don't want you to see all that information. Okay, there you go. All right. So typically, what you're going to see is at the completion of the run, I've been tracking this. So let's look at how long it's been taking me to get paid. I can go back through all of these and add them up. And again, I learned a lesson here. So from 19 March, I dropped this off in Houston on the 20th. Check out when I got paid. So I have listed here what the Raycon said, what I was actually paid. So that's what I list the check as. And I just say, yeah, they paid all of it. So I know what that amount was, the original amount. I can't, okay. And so the pay date was the 26th of April on that one. And hey, I'm going to black something out real quick. Black out all those. Oh my God, that didn't even work. Anyway, oh man. So that was like 5 weeks, which isn't bad. That's not bad at all. And then the 21st to, okay, there we go. Finally, the 21st to the 15th of May, 21st of March to the 15th of May. That's a long time. And then the third one down, I'm just giving you some examples. The 22nd of March to 3 June. See that? It's like a significant time gap between the time when I dropped off the load. The truckers always gets paid last, and that pisses me off. The 13th of May to the 24th of June. So that time gap decreases. 14th of May. I see the ones in red are not paid yet, and I actually just reached out to those brokers a couple yesterday and the day before, so I'll be getting those checks shortly, which is nice, and that'll get me all caught up. But basically tracking all of these from beginning to the end, and if you don't have that type of discipline, you're going to get cheated. I'm not going to get cheated. You're going to get cheated. Next to last one, you are not independent. And what I mean by that is, and it goes back to planning. Should you work for a company? Should you lease on to another company's MC authority? These are questions you'd have to determine whether or not which one is good for you and why. So one of the main reason why I did not, I wanted to remain independent is because I want to determine my own destiny. I don't have to worry about somebody's financials, somebody going out of business. I don't have to worry about somebody not paying me. I'm paying me. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff but at the same time, you saw some of the challenges that I faced with cash flow and billing, and you got to learn all this stuff. So it's best if you are dependent on somebody in the very beginning, because you'll learn all of this stuff. I love my path. This is not for everybody. The reason why, and again, we're just getting back to the reason why people fail. These are the reasons why. You shouldn't have been independent in the beginning, and you stuck to your guns and you did it anyway. You are almost too positive. Your emotional skills were too good for your own good. Last thing I want to talk about is, and also with companies that have their own authority like me, I have access to, this is a plug for a direct carrier services group. I have access because I have my own MC authority. I have access to their loads and their lanes that they're running with semis. Now, most of their stuff's going to be with semis, but, and I don't have a semi. I have a 30-foot trailer with mega ramps and a Dodge Ram 3500. But I'm thinking about getting a semi, and I can lease people onto my MC authority. So if you want to explore some possibilities with me, you're more than welcome to. Last thing, the very last thing I want to talk about is most people need to be home. And let's go back to the numbers again, okay? So, and this is a perfect example. On 9 May, from 9 May to 24 June, I believe it was 17 loads. 17 loads. North Charleston, Savannah, Anderson, South Carolina, Addison, Texas. I went right back across the country, man. This was a dope ass run, man. It was fun. So I went from North Charleston and Anderson to a friend's house, Eric Mason, in Georgia, and then ran all the way across the country. I didn't come to Texas. I didn't come back home to San Antonio. I went to Dallas. Addison's a little bit northwest of Dallas. It's like a suburb of Dallas, which is 3 hours from San Antonio. But anyway, I went from there to New Boston, Texas, picked up and ran all the way to Fort Bragg. Okay. I had a partial that same day. I picked up twice, so I picked up in Gaston and I picked up in Rock Hill, and then delivered in Cartersville, and then ran across to Addison, and then picked up in New Boston, Texas, which is about 2.5 hours east of Dallas, to all the way to Fort Bragg. Ran all the way to Fort Bragg, then stayed with a friend. Got a great load in after a truck order not used. I got $150 for that. Still outstanding. I'll get that in a little bit. But found a load the same. Oh God, that's irritating. The same day for $1,200, going to the same place, roughly the same place where that truck order not used got canceled, that load got canceled, and then this one picked up and went to the same place, and it paid great money. So this goes back to emotional skills. You got to have them, man, and communication skills with your dispatch. That was a really tough day. It was hot as hell too. So in other words, 45 days I was on the road. If you have little kids, man, this ain't for you. Like this, it would be ridiculous to do this. It's not for you. Both of my kids are grown. I'm 47 years old. Both of my kids are grown, doing their thing, good men. And and I can just run the country. I met my wife, so this took me up north. That Wilmington load took me up north, and then I went from Virginia to Pennsylvania, and then Pennsylvania to Delmar, Delaware, visit my sister. It was amazing. Like, it was amazing. It was just an amazing time. I went, and then a little bit, I took a few days off. Went from Landover, Maryland, deadheaded over there. Went to Allentown, PA. And then I had a little layoff there where I just visited family. It was fun. I visited my dad. On this load, I was in West Philly. I gotta dig that video up and then upload it, because I was in West Philly in my old neighborhood filming from the truck. and picked up, and then 6 days later I delivered in Atlanta with a bunch of partials that I got on the way down there. It was fantastic. And I ended up changing. What was interesting about that, so I had a bunch of partials on the truck, but I ended up changing dispatchers in the middle of all this. So, like, if you're not emotional skills, if you're not well put together, you're going to fail. It's not pretty. You don't have to do all that to yourself. Just be a company driver. Be a company driver, or lease on to somebody, or whatever, or get into a different line of work. This ain't for you. I appreciate y'all as usual. Joe Creets. Oh, wow. My cousin Kaya Churchill, Rob Crawford, Rich Robinette. He's up in West Virginia. I was hoping to see you last time, man. Michael Barnes, Stan Davis, Ryan Maher, and Stephen Thompson. A lot of high school friends and people I've known for a long, long time. And people I wish I could have seen while I was up in Pennsylvania. I hope this was helpful. Hope this was helpful for... I'm going to upload this to YouTube. I hope this was helpful for why people fail. And this was about my life lessons too, as well. Be careful out there. I would say, and I made up a new phrase, and it goes to emotional skills. Like, and this emotional skill would be called knowing yourself. Try to be true to yourself. And one of the phrases that I just made up recently was, I would say good luck, but I mean be safe, when I'm referring to my competitors. And that's exactly what I mean. My mentors don't need any luck. My mentors and my colleagues in trucking, they don't need any luck. They're established. They know what they're doing. And now I'm learning from them. You need humility to make it, to learn from people, to be willing to learn from people. And if you're not willing to learn from people, that's one of the emotional skills. If you're not willing to learn from people, you ain't gonna make it. Because you're either gonna hurt yourself, hurt somebody else. It's just not, it's just not smart. It's not good business. And you need to be friends with people and connect on a friendship level, a collegial level. It's very healthy psychologically. This is a tough job. If you're not willing to do some of those things that I recommended, good luck. Oh, see, I slipped. Be safe. As usual, I appreciate you watching, and God bless, and be safe.